Prospect 1.
The Cleveland Indians.
Cleveland Indians top 10 fantasy prospect list starts with Tristan McKenzie, starting pitcher. Number 2, Francisco Mejia. Call him a catcher, call him a third baseman, call him somewhere because they don't know where he is, but he is number 2. Number 3, first baseman Bobby Bradley. Number 4, outfielder Greg Allen. Number 5, third baseman Nolan Jones. Number 6, outfielder George Valera. Number 7, outfielder Will Benson. Another outfielder is number 8, Oscar Gonzalez. Number 9, it's Bieber Fever with Shane Bieber, the starting pitcher. And number 10, Yu Ching Chang, the starting pitcher, or the shortstop for the Cleveland Indians.
Bieber Fever. Are you proud of that?
A little bit. I mean, not really. I mean, at the end of the day, you make a joke like that and you're clever, but then you hate yourself a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we're on the same...
Yeah, you hate me.
As long as we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, we are. Don't worry
That's
about
all
that.
I care about.
Yeah, we're there, buddy.
So who's exciting you? Are you all jazzed up for? I know you love Tristan McKenzie.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You were
Jazz.
very mad when I took him in our draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's exciting. I think if I'm remembering correctly, he finished second. The top 3 strikeout pitchers from the 2017 season in the minor leagues were Alec Henson, Tristan McKenzie, and AJ Puck. Those were your top starting pitcher strikeout guys. He's a wiry dude. There's always been questions of, like, is he going to physically hold up? I mean, 6'5", 165. Can you even imagine? Can you imagine?
No.
Being that? I can't. But he struck out 186 guys over 143 innings last year, 3.4 ERA. Was able to keep to 45 walks as well. He's just a good, control, strikeout pitcher. He's got a good mix. So as far as fantasy goes, he is someone that I would be, I'd say ultra aggressive. I mean, I like also that he's like this fastball, curveball, and maybe even a plus changeup type of guy, which I really think minimizes the relief risk. And he's got good control. So he's just a good pick overall. 3 of these guys made my top 100 on the Indians. So you've got Bobby Bradley, Mejia, and McKenzie. But if you're asking me simply, I mean, we're kind of jumping around from the normal questions, but if you're asking me one player that I'm like jazzed up about, I will tell you probably the Indian that I'm most jazzed up that I wish I had seen, and I know I will get to see this year because where the Indians play is literal minutes from my house.
Yeah, you can throw a rock at it right now.
Yeah.
Your window.
I can go and see is George Valera, the outfielder that they signed. International. He's 17 years old. Dude, he was born November of 2000.
God, that sucks.
Doesn't that suck? They show him kind of short, 5'11", 165. There's a great video that's online. If you search on Twitter, you just search George Valera, of him. I think it's in the Dominican playing, a game. Maybe it's a Dominican Winter League or something like that. And he crushes a ball. He crushes it. He actually looked like Robinson Cano on it. It was such a beautiful swing, uppercut power, almost Ronald Acuna like. And I'm kind of in. I'm big in on George Valera, and I think people know, especially if you follow my list, I don't hold back a lot with international prospects. I'm not saying like everyone else does, but there's definitely a contingency of people that are like, all right, Wander Franco, and then everyone else is in the 300s. I'm not afraid of having a guy that might be 4 or 5 years away if they're going to be special, and I really like George Valera's tools. I think he could be pushing number 1 overall prospect for the Indians in 2.5 years, something like that. Mid-season of, late 2019, early 2020, he's the top guy. So that's someone I'm like really jazzed up about.
So for this year, this is the complete and total opposite of the Tigers. The Tigers have plenty of open spots. The Indians basically have none. I see no spots in the rotation, maybe Josh Tomlin's spot, but they seem to like him. They've got a closer.
So. Yeah, I don't think they would take him out.
They've got. I mean, he would have to struggle. Is what I'm saying. They got the closer in Cody Allen. They've got the reliever in Andrew Miller. Maybe Chisenhall and Bradley Zimmer. Like those guys would have to struggle really hard to get replaced. Who, if anyone, has a crack at the lineup this year?
I mean, the guy is Francisco Mejia. So, as I say per usual, you guys hear it, but hey, it's context, and I like being able to say I have seen these guys in person. And Mejia was out here on the fall league, and I saw him a whole bunch. And he's an enigma. That's how I've tried to describe him. Yeah. I remember talking to James over at RotoWire when I first saw Mejia, and I was trying to explain it to him. And then when we were hanging together watching one of the games, he was like, yeah, you're right, where, they list Mejia at 5'10", 180. He's not. There's no way he's 5'10". There's no way. The dude's like 5'8". I mean, maybe I'm off. Maybe
Nothing
I'm
wrong with that.
Not saying there's anything wrong.
Your problem.
He's just a lot smaller than you expect, but he's got a big upper leg. I know. You're 5'8", Bogman. You're like 5'4". It's okay. You'll be okay.
I'm 5'4".
Okay. You're 5'8", right? 5'9"?
Yes, 5'8". Right.
So, I mean, you and Mejia are about at the same height. So the size shouldn't be a big issue per se, but it's just, you look at him and you're like, boy.
But the Welsh. Ugh.
Yeah, well, I'm 6'4", I know. But I mean, the same thing would go with Jose Altuve. Definitely different body types as well. And the comparison I gave James and I would say anybody, if you can go watch video or see these guys up close, was compare like a Luis Urias with the Padres to a Francisco Mejia. I think they might actually list Urias shorter or about the same as Mejia. And Urias, his physical body is so much thicker, kind of a stock going on with him, and he's going to generate power. Mejia's just pure bat tool is what's going to carry him. My problem with him is that I don't know where the home is, and I don't know where the counting stats are going to help in fantasy. So what I mean is he worked almost exclusively at third base in the fall league. He had some practices before games at second base. He DH'd. I never saw him catch. The only time I saw him catch was in the bullpen, as he was helping out guys in the bullpen catching. So I just don't think he's going to be a catcher. It just doesn't seem like they want to go that route. Plus, they've got a couple other guys the Indians do that they like as catcher that they want to move forward. So I think he's out as a catcher. So now you're looking at a guy that's at third base, and he's going to hit maybe 12 homers, steal 6 bases, and hit 290? I mean, what is that? Well, I mean, like, how are you going to value that, Boggs? 12 homers, 6. I mean, maybe I'm not being fair, but even if you want to call it 15 homers, 10 stolen bases, hitting 290 at third base.
I mean, that's nice, especially if he's in the middle of the Indians lineup. The problem is they've got, power and speed is nice, but they've got Jose Ramirez and Kipnis still. Like, I know they've had some injury issues with Brantley, and Kipnis can go play the outfield, so that's kind of how he gets slotted in is Brantley. So I think he's going to come up. I don't know how valuable he's going to be for this season. So I think overall for the Tribe, probably not too much, right?
Well, and I'm not even necessarily talking about this season. If you guys are thinking for fantasy, you don't, unless that's your main focus, you don't have to focus on this year. It's just I've got a longer term question with him. And, he also, and you can't read too much into this stuff. And he was all over the board, man, where he's really nice. One day he actually threw a ball to my kid specifically. And I saw he threw a ball to these people that missed. And then after the inning, he came over and made sure he threw one. But then he'd also give people some serious attitude, I saw. And there were some real effort issues in the fall league. I'm telling you, dude, he's sitting at third base. A ball is hit in a reachable form. He would not move. He would let the shortstop get it. And it wasn't just me. Bernie Pleskoff, he tweeted something about it, and I responded with him, and he was happy that I did because there's multiple confirmations that the effort level from Francisco Mejia was lacking a little bit. And maybe that's just because, it's a long season and you're here and whatnot. But, if you're here, the Indians might trade you. They might look to get something from you. This might be playing for playing time. Why is there some
you're well
half-assedness?
Compensated.
Yeah,
you're
why?
Well compensated.
You're working a new position. You should be busting your ass. So, like I said, I'm picking apart a little bit, but his BP sessions are impressive. He always seemed to get a hit. Damn dude always seemed to get a hit, but he doesn't steal. He doesn't hit for massive power. So I think the fantasy community, myself included, had overvalued him for a decent amount of time. It's not to say that he won't be valuable, but seeing him inside the top 50, truly inside the top 50, is kind of tough for me. I think I might have him. I've got him on the cusp, and that might change right before the season starts. But anything higher than 40, I'm not down with because God knows where he is. All you're buying is that hit tool. So sorry, that's a long diatribe on Francisco Mejia.
Welsh hates catchers, especially catchers that don't catch.
Especially a catcher that's not going to be a catcher. Also, doesn't hit for great power, doesn't really steal bases, isn't going to be a middle of the order type of guy. So you're kind of stuck to maybe a number 2 hitter that's going to hit 290, possibly 300 with runs, but you're not getting anything else.
What about sleepers for the Indians?
I'll touch on a couple guys that we don't
know about
hit.
Valera. You already told us about Valera. We don't need to hear about Valera anymore. You love him.
Yeah.
You want to start a life with them moving together.
Potentially. I mean, it's possible. Nolan Jones is one of those guys. Nolan Jones in 2017 hit 317, 4 homers, 1 stolen base. That's all okay, but it was really like moving into his first stint. In 2016, he spent time out here on the AZL, and then he went to short season ball. He hit 257 in 16. And then he doubled his at-bats in short season A-ball and hit 317. He's kind of a big dude, 6'4", 185. I'm really down to get in on Nolan Jones. He's kind of in that border range of 150. He would be a sleeper value, however you want to look at it. A couple other of those guys, Oscar Gonzalez is another one. He didn't have the season that I was hoping for, but there's a lot of power that's kind of sitting and waiting. I think this year, maybe the last 2 years, he's really focused on keeping that average going. He went from, rookie ball to, these 2 different short season stints, and he's been able to keep it between 290 and 280. Homers have been less than double digits. I think this is going to be a breakout year for him with the Indians. So Oscar Gonzalez is another one. And I got a few other names just before we get out of here I can mention, but those would be the big ones. The guys that, they're not necessarily values to me. They're not sleepers that people would probably be wondering, and I'd be remiss to not mention. Bobby Bradley, not overly impressed with. He's got power. He's got some of that, but he's also got lots of struggles, lots of swing and miss, big old loopy swing. He definitely fixed his body. He toned out really well from what I saw in the fall league. So that's exciting.
We need to do that.
That I wish, and that's encouraging. And then Greg Allen, who I was really big on coming out of 2016 in the fall league, and a lot of people were. It's okay. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. He got some major league time. I caught him when he was rehabbing out here for a second time, so it was nice because I got like a 4-month gap or 5-month gap between seeing him, and it was okay. But the speed really kind of tempered down, the power tempered down. But he was suffering from a lot of injuries last year, so maybe that's going to turn around this year. So actually, maybe he does become a value.
What happened to Brady Aiken?
Oh man, isn't it sad?
It's sad.
It's sad. This dude, I believe, let me confirm if this is a fact before I say it. Well, I mean, it's easy enough. So Brady Aiken, he was drafted 1 by the Astros.
Right, and he didn't sign.
He didn't sign, and then he was taken the following year by the Indians. Not a great 2016, not maybe the worst ever, but 2017, dude, this is an incredible number. So he's got a 4.7 ERA. It's not good. He had 130 innings. That's good. 89 strikeouts over those 132 innings. That's not great. But check this out. 101 walks.
Oh, God.
101 walks to 89 strikeouts. We're talking about a 21-year-old pitcher who is kind of sitting in the same vein as Mark Appel. Mark Appel is just falling off. Now, the thing that's going for Brady Aiken is he's young. The dude is still young. Yeah, big projectable body, but his stuff is just, it's tapering down. Bad reports coming out that there's a velocity issue. There's obviously a command issue. So we talked about the Royals before. We didn't talk a whole lot about him. Josh Staumont from the Royals is one of these guys who also goes and walks like 89 to 100 guys a year. But he also can strike out, like 40 or 50 more than his innings pitch, which make me believe he's going to be a back-end reliever. Brady Aiken cannot strike guys out. He walked 100 guys in 132 innings. It's unbelievable to me. He gave up 12 homers, pretty big average. His whip was almost 1.8 last year. It's just not good. Like, he could turn it around. I always had these like little small hopes for Mark Appel, but I'm not going to bank on it. Why would I bank on it? He's going to be pushing 22. maybe he turns it around. I might watch early season stuff with him. If I see 4 or 5 good starts where the strikeouts are there, he's controlling it, maybe his velocity comes up, then go doing a quick buy. But, I'm not touching him inside the top 400.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Last one's just quick little mentions. Will Benson, huge power. Always had those like Giancarlo Stanton comps. We'll see. We'll see. He improved himself. He's a major prospect. Guy's probably still 3 years away. Tyler Freeman is a super sneaky one that I really personally like. He might just be a future utility player, but hit some power, some speed, but hit about 300. Looked like the best player on the AZL Indians team. And Greg Allen was there. One of their top picks, Quentin Holmes, was one of the fastest guys out there. Tyler Freeman is a late one that I would look out. And, we talked, Shane Bieber. He had a really good season. You can maybe look at him like post 250. So there you go.